Robert Gleeson has written a fascinating piece in the Australian newspaper about Labor's new unrealised gains tax, a tax which he calls one of the most vicious taxes ever conceived by an Australian government. This tax will not be indexed, and as Gleeson writes, the biggest victims will be those trying to develop a new business and asking for capital to help. Nobody will invest if they have to sell assets to pay for the unrealised gains tax, and if there is a later loss, they must wait for capital profits to get the money back. Patrick, what happened to Labor's election promise? I'm sure I remember something back in 2022 about no new taxes.
Yes, vaguely, yes. Look, Robert's onto something here. I mean, very few countries in the world have taxes on unrealised profits. And so they're basically potentially going to ask for you to pay for money that you actually don't have, which will force people to, businesses to sell assets, investors to sell things merely to pay the tax. It's not fair. It's anti-aspirational, it's anti-innovation, and it's anti-productive in the sense that you want investment, and this is anti-investment.
It is definitely anti-investment, and when you've already got an environment of high regulation, high tax, it's just another reason for people to invest elsewhere. And we know what's happening in the US. An environment's been created there that is very pro-investment. So if you're a big multinational, you've got to wonder why you would invest in Australia at with the current conditions. Let's talk about Victoria. The state is buckling under the weight of record debt, and Premier Jacinta Allen seems to be preoccupied with other priorities. Here's what she's been posting on X. She wrote, "I want to send a message to every LGBTIQ plus Victorian in our state today. I know that right now you might look at the world with fear and uncertainty, fear for your community, fear for your safety, fear for a future that might end up looking a lot more like the past. But I want you to know this. In Victoria, you have a government and a premier who believes in equality and believes in you." Oh, dear me. Now, she has been ratioed to hell and back on X for that incoherent virtue signalling. That basically means, Patrick, that she has been flooded with negative responses, people taking her to task for what she has written there, her failure to stand up for women's rights, women's spaces. After all, Victoria is a place where we have a male sexual predator identifying as a woman in a woman's prison.
That's right.
I mean, this is the sort of madness that the rest of the world can only imagine. It's happening in Victoria.
Yeah, look, I think most people, Victorians, Australians, the world, are sick of the woke sort of ideology. And I think this is sort of presented as a heartfelt message of love. It's actually very cynical, I think. It's actually saying, yeah, I feel your fears. You have reasons to be fearful. We might go back to what was a long time ago. And that's very unhelpful.
And why? Because Donald Trump has said take the pronouns out of your email address if you're a government employee. That's what's requiring the Victorian Premier down here to...
Look, there's been no hate-related incident in Victoria that prompted this. This comes out of nowhere, and I would expect that the negative sort of reviews, as you say, would continue because it's misplaced right now.